Taryn, thank you so much for joining me here on the Entrepreneurial Success Podcast. I'm really, really excited about having you here with us because we're going to talk all about the life of being a VA. In particular, you're going to touch up on couple of things, how to get clients as a virtual assistant. Before we dive into that, why don't you just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do in particular?
Yes, so I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you for having me. I am Taryn Sowa. I am a virtual assistant and I started at the end of 2018. By trade and actual education, I am in physical therapy. That's my complete background. I did that for 8 years. And while there was some components that I loved about it, I definitely felt like something was missing in my job and I struggled with a lot of anxiety. And I'm like, I feel like life shouldn't be like this. I feel like there's more to life than just waking up and going to work for 10 hours and then coming home and binge eating pasta while watching Netflix. So I fast forward to me, I got pregnant with my son and I'm like, you know what, this is my time. It's time to switch. It's time to figure out what I want to do. And I found the world of freelancing and I jumped in feet first and have been doing it just over a year now and love it. I actually enjoy working and I really have no complaints about being a virtual assistant. And the switch has been really great for me and my family.
Yeah. That's amazing. What kind of inspired it? Because obviously I know you said that you were pregnant with your son, but what inspired you really? What was that deep desire that made you take a hold of that transition and decide this is what I'm going to do now?
I really think it was, I grew up with parents who weren't together and both amazing. I am so lucky that my parents got along. Everything was great there, but I was always in daycare because both my parents had to work full time. So I would go to school and then I would go to daycare, get home, live a rushed lifestyle. It's quick, get dinner, do your homework and go to bed. And I just didn't see that for myself in raising my family. And I knew part-time was going to be too hard. I either had to be full-time in physical therapy or suck it up and work weekends, which I didn't want to do that either. And I'm like, how do I work from home? How do I make this work without having to, I'm looking for the word here, hustle, I guess. I looked into direct marketing and I'm like, I felt like there was so much you had to do to get yourself going that I was like, okay, that's not a good fit for me. I tried an Etsy shop and that just was way too slow going and a lot of work in the beginning. I'm like, I need something where I can start bringing in some money right now. And I thought, I found virtual assisting and I'm like, this seems like a temporary solution, but so far, I've really scaled my services and I feel like this could be something I'm in for the long haul.
I absolutely resonate with what you're saying because in so many ways, I'm a strategic business coach helping service-based industries obviously get clients for their businesses. Mm-hmm. So I'm really quite intrigued from your perspective, being a freelancer, a virtual assistant. What are your tactics really for getting clients, particularly because you said you've only been, about a year in your business?
Yeah.
So how did that start for you? What was the kind of first thing that you had to think about? And I think you might even say you started with a mindset evaluation, but how did you start that really?
Mindset was definitely something I started with in the beginning, but I didn't know that's what I was doing. So when I started, I had taken a course on how to be a virtual assistant and she quick touched about how to get clients. So I'm sitting here Taryn, you're going to make this work. You're going to write down your goals and you're going to go after it. There's nothing else you can do. So I had set the goals for myself. I wrote them down and I just started pursuing them any way I could possibly think. And it's I look back now after applying for many jobs and kind of evaluating the ones that I've landed and the ones that I haven't. I look back and it's totally in my head. So if I'm going in and I'm not really confident about myself and I'm like, oh, I just feel like I'm taking on this client to take on money, I don't come off as my best self and I don't come off as confidently knowing what I'm doing. And I don't get the position because there's a lot of great competition out there and someone can do it better than me if I'm not really that interested in it. So I It's funny because I just had this great call last week with a client and I thought I totally had it in the bag, but there was still a part of me that was like, I don't know, like kind of second guessing myself. And guess what? I didn't get it. But also at the same time last week, I was speaking with a client and I landed it because I just like knew I was going to get it. So mindset is the biggest thing that can be stopping you from getting clients. So if you feel like you're not worthy enough to get a client, you probably won't, or you'll get a client that's not a good fit for you because you're going to take anything that you can get.
Do you have some other examples as to when you started out, how you had to kind of make that shift almost? Because I think in particular, when you go from a corporate job or a full-time job, you know, my experience is having that day where you cut off your salary and now all of a sudden you're stuck and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to create an income for myself. And so it's got a lot to do with firstly money mindset, but that's a separate, a separate topic in itself. But in order to get the clients in the first place, what kind of happened for you in order to realize this is the kind of mindset that I need to change now from?
I think investing in myself and taking in the course itself was what switched my mindset, because I was actually putting money into this venture and it wasn't just something that I was pulling out of thin air. Like I had tried an Etsy shop and you don't have to invest a lot. I was making digital products, so I wasn't really putting anything into it. So I felt like my mindset going into that was like, well, if I make money, cool. If I don't, cool. And it ended up being the latter. Like I didn't make any money from it. So going into being a VA, I'm like, I'm all in. I'm going to put some money down on this course and I'm going to pay it off in a month. So having that investment in myself made me believe in myself. And then the course itself taught me how to believe in myself. So it really helped.
That's amazing. Oh, that's fantastic. Now, for you as a virtual assistant, what is your kind of niche? What is it that you do exactly for your clients?
Yes. So I can kind of talk about in the beginning. So I started out in customer service. So I was a physical therapist assistant previous to this, and how I changed and highlighted my services to be online because I had no prior experience. I really focused that I had a customer service background and I was great with people. So I highlighted that. And then I also highlighted some other small things I did within my job. Like I posted on our Instagram, I would make flyers for events we had, and I would really highlight those instead of saying like, I work hands-on all day for 30 hours with patients. Like I didn't highlight that. So I was able to pull some of my tasks out from that. And that's what I promoted at first. And I landed a client within that first week after taking the course. So I made my money back like within 3 days. I was like, boom, done.
Fantastic.
And I really started with that. And then I have taken more courses since then. I've worked with some amazing clients who have taught me other things, which I am so grateful for because, being in this online world, there's so much out there, but there's so many awesome people who are willing to teach you to do the tasks they don't want to do.
Yes.
So kind of fast forward to now, what I do is I do Pinterest management, I do organic strategy, and I do promoted pins as well. And then I create and design sales funnels for people. And then the last thing I do is Facebook group moderation.
Fantastic. And that's going to actually lead into what we're going to talk about now, because you also want to talk about networking in Facebook groups in order to get clients. So what is your kind of experience and what can you kind of teach us about how to network in Facebook groups authentically in order to make sure we can get those clients?
Yeah, so my first mistake jumping into Facebook groups last year is I would go in and I would look for the people who are posting a job opportunity, and I would go in there, spend all this time filling out these applications, like typing to them like, hey, I'm really interested in this position. Sometimes I would land an interview, sometimes not, but I never actually landed a client by applying off of their job application because you're going up against so much competition. So I'm not saying don't do it because it was really good practice, but that should not be the highlight of your time when you're in a Facebook group. So what I have found works a lot better is getting in there and treating it like the person intended, who created the group, intended it to be. You're there to talk, you're there to network, you're there to answer questions. So what I do as a VA is I usually hop in groups that my ideal client is. So I want to work with online entrepreneurs who either create courses or create either do one-on-one services. So I'll hop in groups with where those people are, and I just help answer questions. So if they're like, hey, how do I get this button on my landing page to work? I'll answer it. So I'm not really saying like, hey, hire me, but they're going to start seeing me and recognizing me. And when it does come time that they're like, I think I'm looking for help, I can say, hey, Sarah, like I can totally help you. And that personal connection is what's going to put you one step ahead of someone else, because you can have the best website, you can have an awesome, business page with reviews, but they don't know who you are. So if you're able to get in and make that personal connection, and hey, maybe we started talking 6 months ago and now you're finally looking for someone, still I've got that connection and I'm going to get that client faster.
Yeah. And I completely agree with you, because there's this kind of element about building that relationship up front that so many people forget about. In particular, if you're just starting out, it's something that we all have to learn. But if you can kind of grasp that concept from the beginning when you're starting a business as a virtual assistant or as any type of freelancer or any type of service-based industry that you're going into, but having or creating that kind of idea of forming a relationship with somebody, so you're in the back of their mind and they can already kind of figure out and see that she delivered quality, she helped me out with a particular, stumbling block. And that's kind of what is really, like you said, exactly going to put you one step ahead of everybody else. It's going to make you stand out from the crowd, really.
Exactly. And, it's like entering the online space, you think it's going to be so easy and you're just going to like hop on and apply to all this stuff, and because that's how you do it in real life. But in real life, you end up having that face-to-face interview.
Yeah.
Where you get that connection, and online, it's like you miss that step. So how can you still make that personal connection? And that's by chatting with them just in general in the groups. Like you're still networking. Like there's no way around not networking. And if you found a way, please tell me. I would love to know, because it's probably quicker, but
yeah, that's amazing. There's the other element as well that you want to talk to us about is obviously starting off that kind of relationship building. It starts with having a cold call or a cold email that is going out to an audience that are cold. So what are your kind of tips for sending out cold emails to an audience in order to start building that relationship with them and then converting them into actual clients?
Yeah, so another great way is sending cold emails or cold messages on Facebook or Instagram, because people still tend to really check those. Sometimes they don't check their email, or they'll just see it and delete it. So a great way to get in front of your ideal audience is just to reach out to them. And just like with Facebook groups, you might not be getting that connection right away. They might not just drop everything and, oh my gosh, yes, I was looking for you, I'm going to hire you. It happens once in a while, but you're just trying to like introduce yourself to their brand. So then you're starting to be on their radar. So a big thing what I do when I don't really do cold pitching anymore now that I'm fully booked, and I get more referrals now. But in the beginning, cold pitching is a great way to start, because you're going to reach out to them and they might know someone else who needs your services. So you want to make sure you're doing a good job in that email. So I always pitch to people that you have to put something personal in that email, because they're getting emails and messages all day long. So how can you stand out from the crowd? Go look at their website, go look at their business, see what you like about them, and then tell them that in the email.
Yeah.
Simple as that, because I still answer some emails for one of my clients, and people just send like the most bland, boring emails. Like, hey, I want to write an article for you. Well, who are you? You know? So I always recommend like go in and be blunt about who you are and who you help right away. Just say that right up front. Then you're going to go in and say like, hey, this is what I really liked about you. This is why I was drawn to you and why I would love to work for you. And then at the end, you're going to be direct and ask if you can work for them or if they know anybody who needs help. And then you're going to end it. Simple as that. And if you don't hear back from them, a big thing you want to make sure is you follow up with them as well. So sending a follow-up email, because people are busy. Sometimes they don't get a chance to look at it. So you're just being persistent and showing that business owner, like, I'm really actually interested in this. You know, they don't need to know that you maybe sent 10 of them out that day, but you want them to feel special, like you're actually interested in working for them and with them. And, you know, a lot of times you'll get a no. That's okay, because you're putting yourself out there. Sometimes you get a, I'm not ready yet, but I will be, and they'll get in contact with you later because maybe you do a 6-month follow-up. Or the last one, which is great, is they'll say yes or refer you to someone who needs you. So you have to think there is a yes in that pile somewhere. You just have to find it.
I really like the way your concept about sending out cold emails. Most of the online entrepreneurs in their industry, they would just send out an automated email to their audience. But what I kind of grasp about what you're saying is doing a little bit of research first about who your ideal customer is. Go and look them up. Go and see what their website looks like. And see if, you know, where you could possibly add value to them, to their business, and then send them a cold email, obviously starting that conversation. So I really like the fact that you're kind of zoning in on that and just not making it a general thing that goes out to your whole audience on your email list, but actually doing a little bit of research up front. So you can kind of cultivate or create this customized email going out to a specific person in order to make sure there's a better connection there rather than just something in general that you're sending out. So I think that's really amazing that you're touching up on that as well.
Yeah, I like to call it like a cold warming up email because it's
That's
like
amazing.
you don't want to be cold, like you are sending to a cold audience, but you want to be warm. So
Yeah.
it's like you
No,
have to keep that in mind.
that is really fantastic. Thank you so much for pointing that out. And I also like the fact about how you're saying you're structuring your emails. You're firstly just getting out there saying, this is who I am, this is what I do. And then you kind of throw it back to them and say, I love what you're doing, blah, 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 blah. And you're kind of referring them and giving them credit so they can actually see you have gone and check them out. And you can kind of touch up on the certain things where they go, oh, yeah, that's true. I have been looking at that. Oh, I have been thinking about that. And then obviously bringing that back and concluding that email. So I kind of like the way you're putting that out there as well, from having to systematically draw out your email or the draft.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say more people are apt to respond to you, even if it's a no, if you put something personal in there, because they're like, oh, I feel like I should at least let this person know what's going on. So that's like the trick I have found, like putting that little personal touch is how you're going to get your response.
Yes. And also the other thing is just by being consistent, not giving up. So like you said, send out a couple of emails, maybe 6 months down the line, they'll come back to you. But it's not about giving up. You just got to keep that consistency and keep on going, and obviously reaching out to them.
Exactly. And there's a good way. I love to use Trello to track those. So I'll track, for anyone who's unfamiliar with Trello, it's basically like an online calendar, but you can move the pieces of your calendar over really easy. So what I do is I'll have one board of like who I sent out, and then I'll put the date on that. And then I like track if they followed up with me, they move to a different column. Or if I need to follow up with them, I move that to another column, and so on and so forth. So once it is 6 months down the line, I have a little list like, oh yeah, I need to connect back with Todd and see how he's doing and if he needs anybody. So that's a good way to keep you on track, because if you're sending this many emails, you get a little bogged down, and that's a great way to make sure you're still reaching out to your potential clients.
Yes. No, that is really fantastic. So you're saying you use Trello as well as a platform in order to help you just keeping on track with everything?
Yes, I use Trello for everything, for life now. Like if I'm going to work out, I put it on Trello.
Awesome.
I
I
think
don't
if I'm going to work out.
I don't use it myself as well, but I've heard that it is a fantastic platform. So for those of you listening and you're thinking of what kind of platform could help you like organize things, sort out things as a virtual assistant, or even for any other business that you are running, Trello is definitely a good platform to go for. And so go and have a look at that as well. So I just quickly want to recap on everything that we said. And this is morely based on what you have done and how you've started your business, because I'm really impressed with what you're saying. You started at the end of 2018. You've been running this now, and you're already on such a roll by getting clients that you are fully booked. You don't have to worry about sending cold emails again, because now you're at that point in your life where you're getting referrals. And that would be the best place for anybody to be at for their business. But it all started with your mindset. So we touched upon that and how you spoke about your mindset, making sure that you are in it, not just for the money, but you're in it in order to deliver a service, in order to help somebody out at the end of the day. And then obviously how to get those clients using Facebook groups, not just to go out there and look for jobs, but to go and start a relationship, start building a relationship with people so they can obviously start to get to know you. And then lastly, obviously, the other option is to send cold emails, but not just to a general population. You send it obviously directly targeted to certain people that you want to work with. Is there anything that I missed out here? Because I think it is so good what we've spoken about.
No, that's a great way to start. These are for newbies. Like you can totally do it if you're already in your business and in the thick of it, but you can start this now as a newbie. You don't need to have like referrals is a great place to get to, but it takes some time. And these are 2 spots where you can spend your time and your energy and start getting clients like this month.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk to us a little bit about your freebie, because you've got a fantastic freebie that you're giving away to the audience here today.
Yeah, so I have been getting asked by a lot of women in my family and my friends. They're like, Taryn, how are you doing this? How are you figuring it out? Like, you went from this 40-hour-a-week hands-on job and now you're working online from home in your jammies. Like, what? How did you do that? So I have created a freebie, which is 4 essential steps to getting freelance clients quickly and easy. You can grab that at shescreatingherdreams.com. You will enter your email and then I will shoot you an email right away and you can download that.
Fantastic. And what we'll do is the link will also be in the show notes. So for those of you who want to get that, by all means, go and sign up down below this audio. Taryn, is there anything that you would like to add for the audience? Any last word, any last topic or motivational thing that you would like to say to everyone?
Yeah, if you are struggling with clients, it's totally okay, because it took me a little while to figure out, and it took me, some days I feel really defeated and I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to make it work? But it eventually works. And I am now creating a course that will teach you all of these steps in depth, plus a few more of how to get clients so you can set yourself up so you're eventually just getting referrals and your business is pretty much on automation. That's going to be coming out super soon, and you can find it on my website. And I'm going to keep it at a really low price in the beginning because I want to help people. I am so ready to help other women in my position, because I felt like I had to do a lot of the research on my own and figure it out about how to get clients. But now, hey, I've made the step-by-step plan and I am ready to teach other women how to do it. And you can find that at tarynsowa.com.
Taryn, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us on the podcast. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for all the great tips and advice. I really appreciate you. And all of the best for the launch. I'd really like to know how it all went. So keep in touch.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
You're more than welcome. Take care.
Bye-bye.